Loneliness. The hidden cost of becoming extraordinary. The part of success nobody prepares you for. The moment you decide you want more from life, something strange starts happening. The people around you slowly start disappearing. Friends stop inviting you out. Conversations start feeling different, and the life everyone else seems comfortable living suddenly feels impossible for you. So why does this happen? Why does chasing greatness often feel like walking alone? Cristiano Ronaldo. Today he's known as one of the greatest football players to ever live. But long before the trophies, the fame, and the millions of fans, he was just a kid from a small island called Madeira. At 12 years old, Ronaldo made a decision that most people would never make. He left home, left his family, and left everything he knew to join the Youth Academy of Sporting Lisbon. Imagine that for a second. 12 years old, living in a new city with no family and no childhood friends, just training. While other kids were playing video games or hanging out after school, Ronaldo was practicing over and over again, day after day.
And this reveals the first truth about greatness. Greatness demands separation, because the moment you decide to become exceptional, your life starts to revolve around something most people don't understand: priority. The average person structures their life around comfort. They work, they relax, they spend time with friends, they follow routines that keep life stable and predictable. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the person chasing greatness doesn't have that luxury, because greatness demands repetition, sacrifice, and obsessive improvement, and those things come at a cost. The cost is time, the time you no longer spend doing what everyone else is doing. While others are relaxing, you're working. While others are celebrating, you're studying your mistakes. While others are satisfied, you're asking for more. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to drift away from the people around you, not because you want to, but because your lives are moving in different directions.
Once upon a time, there was a young basketball player who had...
Kobe had a reputation for being distant from teammates. Some players even described him as obsessed. He woke up at 4 a.m. to train, sometimes practicing for hours before anyone else even entered the gym. When teammates went out at night, Kobe stayed in the gym. When others celebrated victories, Kobe studied game footage, because in his mind, there was always something that could be improved. And over time, that kind of mindset creates distance. Not everyone understands it. Not everyone relates to it. Some people admire it, others resent it, but very few people truly share it. And that's why the path to greatness becomes lonely, because the truth is, greatness is rare, and anything rare is going to isolate you. If everyone was willing to make the same sacrifices, greatness wouldn't be special. But most people aren't willing. They want the reward, the recognition, the result, but they don't want the isolation that comes before it. Because loneliness is uncomfortable. Humans are wired for belonging. We want connection, approval, and the feeling that we fit in. But the pursuit of greatness often requires the opposite: standing apart, doing things differently, choosing discipline when everyone else chooses comfort. And that creates tension, because the people around you may not understand your priorities. They may think you're working too much. They may say you've changed. They may even try to pull you back toward the life they're living, not because they want to hold you back, but because your ambition reminds them of something uncomfortable: potential. And potential is a strange thing, because when someone close to you starts chasing something bigger, it forces everyone else to confront a difficult question: why aren't I doing the same? For many people, it's easier to dismiss the dream than to pursue it. So they call it unrealistic, they call it obsessive, they call it unnecessary, but the person chasing greatness sees things differently. They understand something most people ignore: time is limited, and the opportunity to become who you're capable of becoming doesn't last forever. That means every day matters, every hour matters, every decision matters. And once you start thinking that way, it becomes impossible to live like everyone else. That's why the loneliness of greatness isn't accidental, it's inevitable, because the path upward narrows. At the bottom, there are millions of people all moving in the same direction, but the higher you climb, the fewer people there are. The routines become harder, the expectations become higher, the sacrifices become greater, and eventually the road becomes quiet. But here's the part most people misunderstand. Loneliness doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it means you're doing something rare. Because when you choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, and purpose over approval, you naturally separate yourself from the crowd. And that separation can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's also where transformation happens. Because without the noise of everyone else's expectations, you finally get to decide who you want to become. That's the paradox of greatness. It often begins alone, not because success requires isolation, but because the journey demands focus, and focus requires sacrifice. So if you ever feel like your path is becoming quieter, if the routines feel different from everyone around you, if the direction you're going doesn't look like the one everyone else is taking, that might not be a sign to stop. It might be a sign you're moving forward. Because everyone wants to stand at the top, but very few people are willing to climb the mountain in silence. And that silence is the real price of greatness.